Okay, so I want to tell a little story about this thing that happened one time when I was in middle school. Okay, so it's sixth grade. I'm 11 years old, and there's this black kid that I went to middle school with named LaShawn Johnson. Now, I think I only went to school with him in sixth grade, maybe seventh. I don't think after that he moved. But we're in gym class one day, and as black people like to do, he liked to say nigga all the time. And I don't know what I did to this kid, but he's like, yeah, yo, nigga. And I did this on purpose. I always wanted to like say this to a black guy and see what would happen. But of course, I had to wait till he said it first. I couldn't just walk up to him and be like, yo, what up, nigga? Like, that would be bad. So finally, I had my chance, and I'm like, yo, you're a nigga too. And he's like, yeah, what'd you say, yo? What the fuck you say to me, yo? And he just kind of like pushed me across. He was like a lot bigger than me. This kid was like jacked for a sixth grader. He kind of like pushed me across the gym and like tried to kick me a couple of times. But like that was the end of it, right? I never heard another word from him about it. From him. Of course, this manages to like get back to the gym teacher, Mr. Kowalchuk, who then like reports it to the assistant principal, Mrs. Schweitzer. Oh God, the Schweitzer, as we referred to her as. She was our iron-fisted assistant principal. You want to talk about a gangster? Oh man, this lady was tough as nails. She never put up with any shit from students, like nothing, right? And I got called into her office in sixth and seventh grade. If I had a nickel for every time, forget it. So I get called into her office, and of course I know what it's about. And she's like, "Did you call LaShawn Johnson a nigger?" And it was like, yeah. Why'd you say that? That's racism. You can't use that word. Blah, blah, blah. And she's like giving me this like angry lecture about racism. And, yeah, so I figure, all right, that's the end of it. Whatever. No, no, not even close. She goes and calls my parents. Yeah, and my dad, for those of you who don't know, is this crazy fucking male SJW, social justice warrior. He's one of these like woke white leftists that's more offended by racism than like black people are. Like someone could tell a black joke and 10 black people could be laughing at it, and my dad will be the only one not laughing. And they'll be looking at him like, yo, man, what's wrong with this nigga? Why he ain't laughing? Why he offended? And yeah, so you can imagine, like, David, you used the N word in class today? Oh no, here we go. You know, he won't say nigga even in context. Yeah, he's one of those really politically correct, like PC warriors who always says N word. That guy. You don't use the N word, David. That word is wrong. It's evil. And at one point, he goes, if a black man shot your mother, I wouldn't call him that, David. God damn. What the fuck are you on? Jesus, what kind of woke drugs are you smoking? Smoking that woke crack. No, that wasn't the end of it either. He goes on to basically force me to go to a meeting with like the entire school administration, right? There's like four of my teachers, like three guidance counselors, the principal, the assistant principal. Like everybody is like squeezed into the principal's office at Candlewood Middle School, and they each take turns like lecturing me about the evils of racism and bigotry. And meanwhile, I'm fucking 11 years old. 11 years old, and this is back in 1995. Could you imagine if that happened now? How bad it would be? Like, if it happened now and you were, like, older, right? Like in high school? Oh, I'd probably be dead. I wouldn't be alive to tell this story. Would have been just lynched by a woke mob. SJWs. Yeah. And my dad also made me write this essay. Oh, God help me. He made me write this essay on racism. And at one point, he's like dictating, telling me what to type. And he makes me write. I can't even say it. What if, as a Jewish kid, some kid in school referred to me as a piece of kosher bologna? How would that make me feel? Said a piece of kosher bologna. Like, if someone called me a piece of kosher bologna, I would laugh in their face. Like, that's your attempt at being anti-Semitic and, like, insulting me? Seriously? That's fucking funny. Wow. And I don't think anyone in the history of anti-Semitism, I mean, going back to, like, the Egyptians and the Babylonians, has ever been called a piece of kosher bologna. I'm pretty sure my dad is the only person to ever utter that phrase. Only out of his mouth. And that's exactly something he would say. And meanwhile, like, LaShawn and every other black kid in my school has long ago forgot about this. It seemingly dragged on for months. And this black kid, Antoine, who was one of my special ed peers, I mentioned this, or someone had mentioned to him that they were still putting me through the ringer over this shit. He's like, yo, for real? They're still doing this shit, yo? Yo, come on, man. It wasn't even that big of a deal. As I said, this is how social justice warriors, SJWs, work. If they're not going to get offended, they'll get offended for them. Because this is what they do. Right? Yeah. So, that was my little story about the time in 6th grade I called this kid LaShawn a nigga. And they decided to drag me through this whole woke SJW re-education camp to beat all the racism out of me. Yeah, didn't work. Sorry, guys. But, yeah. What a time. What a fucking time.